Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about Crackdown. What happened to this game series? It seemed like it was going places and then it kind of just phased out and is not something a lot of people talk about, but I have very fond memories of the Crackdown series. Wanted to talk about the history of the series and potentially its future and what's going on with this open world action game exclusive to Xbox. So starting off with the original Crackdown, it was released in 2007 by a development team called Real Time Worlds. I think one thing that really put this game on the map and made it successful was, at the time, it included a invitation to the Halo 3 beta. If you purchased Crackdown 3, you got access to the Halo 3 beta. And of course, Halo 3 was a massive seller and it had a lot of hype. So I think this was really a genius marketing move to get people to purchase Crackdown. Not only was it a great way to get people to play this game, but Crackdown 1 is actually pretty fantastic. Still holds up pretty well to this day, in my opinion. It's an open world game, it features co-op, and it's really revolutionary in the terms of how it presents its story, and I think it still is even today, over 15 years later. When the game opens up, you can go anywhere and do whatever you want all at once. It doesn't care what you do. If you want to go ahead and take out the kingpin for each of the gangs right off the bat, Crackdown 1 will let you do that. You will, of course, get absolutely destroyed because your skills aren't up to par, you're not strong enough, or you can't jump as high. But you can certainly do so. If you can find a way to reach the kingpin of a particular gang, Crackdown 1 will let you do that. It's also completely open world with co-op, meaning you and your partner can go anywhere you want in the city. If you want to try and take on two different kingpins at once, or attack two different gangs, clear out a particular safe house in different locations, you can certainly do that, and the game doesn't care. If you want to play Crackdown 1, you certainly can. The game is now free to play, so you can download Crackdown 1 for free on any Xbox console you have, whether that's the 360, the Xbox One, or any of the series consoles. And they also removed the Xbox Live Gold requirement to play online. So if you and a buddy just want to play Crackdown one afternoon, you don't need to invest any money, and the DLC is free as well. Moving on to Crackdown 2, that was released in 2010 by a different studio. Now, this is a team of people, some of them were veterans of the first Crackdown game, but the Real Time Worlds have moved on to their next game called All Points Bulletin, or APB. They did not take on the opportunity to develop Crackdown 2, so this new team, Ruffian Games, made Crackdown 2. It features the same map as Crackdown 1. It's set in place about 10 years in the future, but the map or the city is overrun by what they call freaks, or kind of like monsters and zombies. Crackdown 2 tries to elevate it with different weapons and vehicles, but for better or for worse, depending on how you like Crackdown, it is pretty much more of the same thing in the same map, with just a few different key little mechanics and enemies. Like Crackdown 1, it still features the same open world game with a co-op experience, and also, just like Crackdown 1, Crackdown 2 is also free to play, so you can download that on your 360, your Xbox One, so on and so forth. No Xbox Live Gold is required, so just like Crackdown 1, you can download the second one as well and enjoy that to your heart's content. The Crackdown series got pretty interesting as time had gone on. Around 2015 or 2016, Crackdown 3 was announced, I think to a lot of people's surprise. I think that critically and commercially, Crackdown 2, I'm not sure if it sold just as well as Crackdown 1. Crackdown 1 was really, again, really carried by that Halo 3 beta. But nonetheless, Crackdown 3 was in development by two different teams. Sumo Digital, they develop all sorts of games, including a Little Big Planet 3, as well as Sackboy Big Adventure on PlayStation, as well as a lot of other titles. And this other company called CloudGen, a company that kind of helps with cloud computing gaming. Not sure if you remember at the time, but they were always talking about how they would use Xbox One consoles in the cloud to, on-demand, power these destructible environments in Crackdown 3. And quite honestly, a lot of the early footage of Crackdown 3 was really, really impressive. You could destroy like these entirely huge skyscrapers, and just the way that the buildings kind of fell apart was kind of cool. Looked like they were kind of held together by cards It was like a house of cards or a tower of cards, but nonetheless, I thought it was pretty neat. Unfortunately, that didn't really seem to come to fruition through a string of many reasons. One was is that Epic Games actually ended up acquiring CloudGen in 2018, and I think that caused a big shakeup in the game's development. That left Sumo Digital as the primary and sole developer to finish this project. That left it to have a lot of delays. If you remember, it was supposed to launch with the Xbox One X on November 7th, 2017, but it was delayed all the way up until 2019, so it had a pretty lengthy delay. I think if you want to kind of make the connection between CloudGen and Crackdown, if you ask the question of, why is CloudGen even involved with Crackdown 3? Well, the company was founded by one of the dudes who worked at Real Time Worlds, who were the developers of Crackdown 1. So that's how that connection was made, and I think if this project was completed in the vision that it was intended to, Crackdown 3 would have been a lot better than it commercially was reviewed for. It got some of the more average review scores, just like Crackdown 1 and Crackdown 2, and I don't think it was a massive system seller either, but this is now in the days of when games are launching day one on Game Pass, so we'll never truly know how many players played Crackdown 3 through Game Pass or purchasing it outright otherwise. So what does the future of this series hold? Will we see a Crackdown 4 or a remake or remaster of the first game? What's going to happen with Crackdown moving forward? And I think, honestly, the answer right now is we don't know. We don't know what the future holds. There's nothing been announced yet. Granted, it's only been 3 years since the release of Crackdown 3, so I don't think the time is necessarily right for a new Crackdown game just yet. However, with Microsoft owning so many teams, they could definitely have one of their development studios make either a new Crackdown entry or a remake of the first Crackdown game. And I do definitely think that'll ultimately be in the cards. I think some people want to play Crackdown on Steam. They want to enjoy Crackdown on other platforms. And I think this is just a great, fun co-op series. And that's really what Xbox has really been embracing lately, is being able to play these games with your friends. I do think ultimately we will get a new Crackdown game, but I think they're going to want this series to kind of lay low for a little bit before a revival and build up some hype for a new entry in the series. But for now, nothing's been announced. There's nothing happening with Crackdown, but I still do recommend that you play these games if you haven't yet. Again, Crackdown 3 is available on Xbox Game Pass. You can play Crackdown 1 and Crackdown 2 for absolutely free. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think's happening with Crackdown? Do you think we'll see a new entry of the series, or do you think they've kind of wasted all of their shots? They've had 3 opportunities to make a really great game, and arguably they haven't capitalized on any of them. Or do you think it's a fun co-op series that is just plain old fun to play? Let me know in the comments down below. If this is your first time here on the channel, well, Andy's Arcade is all about talking about my favorite game series of new and old and what's going on with them. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to check out more of the channel. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you, James.